Hi everyone, welcome to the Sip and Spin. I am the Tipsy Spinster and good morning. It is Small Business Saturday and the weather here is keeping me inside in my bathrobe where I will be doing all of my shopping today. In my glass is a morning cocktail. It is champagne with homemade gummy bears made from a local winery. Please check out my Instagram page. I'll be posting the recipe a little bit later this week. Some of the benefits of living in the Midwest is being able to get up in the morning, put on your bathrobe, and doing all of your shopping from home because the weather is horrific. Today is officially, I guess yesterday would have been the official start of the shopping season with Black Friday. God love you, all of those that braved that craziness. Me, I prefer the small business aspect of it. This is also the last day of the month of November, and I wanted to talk a little bit about national projects that were going on this month. One of the projects was NaNoSueMo, which is the National Knit a Sweater in a Month project, and it was all across the United States. For those of you that participated in NaNoSueMo, I wish you all the best. I hope you're putting the finishing stitches and the finishing touches on that sweater. I have a few friends that were participating this year, and I can't wait to see what they made. It's always so exciting. I myself do not have the confidence to tackle something that big in an entire month. I'm more knit a sweater in a year kind of person. The other big national project, and this actually is an international project, is the International Scheepjes Crochet Along. Scheepjes is a wonderful family-owned company across the pond over in Europe, and their crochet along they've been doing for quite a few years now. This year it was entitled Rosetta Stone, and it's a beautiful Afghan that looks a lot like the Rosetta window in the cathedral at Notre Dame. And as I was learning about these projects and as I was talking to friends and looking at Facebook pages, because I've been a part of the Scheepjes community for a number of years now, I was starting to think about women's role, how roles play into this particular craft. And I always sort of I start to wax poetic during this time of year anyway, and I start thinking about family and about stories. And I put it out on one of my Facebook pages, and a number of people, I think I'm probably the only person in the fiber arts community that had not heard of this book. But if I'm not the only one, I'm going to share it with you. Because pretty much everything that happens on this channel is if I learn about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to tell the world. So now I'm telling you, if you've not picked this book up, it needs to go on your wish list. Or if you know of a burgeoning fiber artist who also loves to read, I would highly encourage adding this book to their library. It is a great resource on the role that women have played in the textile and fiber arts industry. I haven't gotten through all of it yet. It's on my to-do list over winter break when I've actually got the time to sit in front of the fire with a good book and a big cup of tea and just read with no distractions. But as I looked through that book, I started to think about the roles that women have in certain industries. And certainly being in the 21st century, a lot of glass ceilings have been broken. And within this particular industry, I feel like a lot of times women are still considered the producers. We use the tools to make things. And today I want to talk about 3 women in the industry that are actually making the tools that we use. And not only are they making the tools, but their tools are, in my opinion, works of art. One of the first tool makers, hang on, I'm just going to keep going with this because, it's important to stay hydrated when you're doing YouTube shows. One of the first people that I want to talk about is one of the first artists that I had ever heard about, and that is Enid Ashcroft. And Enid Ashcroft learned her trade from her father. I got this information off of her website. She has an Etsy store. This is one of the Turkish spindles that she created. Her work is incredibly hard to come by. I would encourage you to join some of the Ravelry groups that talk about when she updates the site, because her tools sell almost as fast as she makes them. And I demonstrated this on my Instagram page a little while ago when I went through a bunch of different weights of Turkish spindles. She also sells distaffs, and they're finger distaffs, which are great tools when you're working with support spindles, drop spindles, or Turkish spindles. So check out the Enid Ashcroft site. She is from the United Kingdom, so it's going to take a little bit longer for products to get to us, but for me, they shipped incredibly fast. The second person that I want to talk about is sort of an interesting, I need to give you a little bit of a backstory. So when I first learned how to work with fiber, it was with my grandmother. And my grandmother taught me using very traditional tools. And these are the tools that I grew up with. I grew up with the metal crochet hooks, where if you hold on too tightly, you end up with a thumb imprint of whatever is printed on the inside. This is a hairpin lace loom, and all it is plastic and metal, and it bends really, really easily. And both of these tools did not inspire me to do very much with them at all until I discovered Allison Geary. Allison Geary is the apprentice to Ed and Wanda Jenkins. And if you're familiar with Jenkins tools, Ed Jenkins is probably one of the premier makers of Turkish spindles. He has a beautiful line of Turkish spindles, and Allison took over some of the other tools from his business, essentially. Because I no longer had the background on the crochet hooks and the hairpin lace, I commissioned a Turkish spindle from Allison, and she is every bit an artist as Ed and Wanda are. The Turkish spindle that she created is well balanced, it spins beautifully, and it was one of those things where I wanted a tool that I had a basis for comparison with, and now I have that. And I'm looking forward to going back and reinvestigating and exploring the crochet hooks and hairpin lace as a tool and as a product. When I was growing up, these are the tools that I had at my disposal. And one, they're not very aesthetic. Two, they're not very durable or sturdy. And three, they're not ergonomic. Wood warms as you use it. Metal does not. And I think that having a beautiful tool when you're creating a project helps in the building of that project. So if you are a crocheter or if you're interested in hairpin lace, I would strongly recommend checking out Allison's site. The work that she does is stunning, and the woods that she chooses, they practically glow. I mean, they're beautiful. So she is here in the United States, and her website will be posted down in the links. So she's definitely someone that you should check out for Small Business Saturday. The last artist that I want to talk about is Janet of Handywoman Crafts. Janet and I started working together a long time ago when I had the need for a small, portable, rigid heddle loom. And this is the loom that she created, and she now sells them. And I fell in love with pretty much everything she does because of this loom. This is a double heddle, rigid heddle loom. It's tiny, it's portable, it has everything that a big loom does, but it has a very small footprint. It also has a lot of character to it, which I love. I love tools that speak to me. And that little loom is where I created my timeline which was one of my first big projects where I explored a bunch of different weaves, and this is what I use a lot when I do demonstrations and talk about rigid heddle weaving. Some of the other tools that I want to talk about are the tapestry looms that she just started building. For those of you that are familiar with Hocket looms, which you can't buy anymore, these are very similar to those, and she offers 3 different sizes. Here is the amazing thing with these looms. These looms come with different sets, and that's the width that the yarn or the fiber is going to be separated. So these make great sample looms. You can get the tools that go with them as well. So you've got something that you can use to move through the warp threads, to beat the threads down, and this is absolutely adorable. I just love it. The nice thing with these looms, you can either warp a portion of it or you can warp all the way across for sampling. You've got a handhold. For me, this feature right here makes this set of looms indispensable for sampling and for making different things. This is my sample loom. This is the one that I do most of my sampling on. These two, for a new weaver, this would be wonderful for washcloths or small pot holders. This one would work beautifully for placemats, building larger squares. This one would also work for bracelets. The wood that she uses, she does a variety of different woods, and she adds all of these little touches that are just amazing. And I think in terms of tools, she has some of the most extensive and different weaving tools out there. She also has some Victorian era tools as well. I mean, she's got a whole bunch of things on her site, but if you do any kind of reenactment, her site would also be one to go to as well. So I tried to cram a lot of information into a very short amount of time. It is Small Business Saturday. It's the end of the month. For those of you that completed NaNoSuemo, congratulations. For those of you that are working through the Scheepjes Rosetta Stone, I wish you all the best. This year's project was absolutely amazing. For those of you that have been weaving for the holidays, I hope all of your projects come out really well. Check back with me next. I introduce 2 different, no, let me take that back. Check back with me next week when I introduce 3 different Advent calendars. The month of December is going to be a lot of fun. Most of the stuff that I do in December is probably going to be on my Instagram page, but I will be doing a couple things on my channel here as I chime in and talk about the Advent season and making things for the holidays. So, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Happy shopping if you're shopping today. And as always, happy spinning.